Welcome to Tales by Felix, where every story unlocks a new world. Remember to subscribe, like and share. Let's begin. The city pulsed with its usual evening chaos, horns blaring, neon signs flickering, and the hum of 1,000 lives colliding. Anya Petrova, a 28-year-old cleaner with calloused hands and dreams too big for her paycheck, stood outside the upscale boutique on Fifth Avenue. Her reflection shimmered in the spotless glass, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun, her worn sneakers scuffed from hours on her feet. She dipped her rag into the soapy bucket, her movements precise, almost meditative, as she scrubbed away fingerprints left by careless shoppers. The screech came first, a high-pitched wail of tires against asphalt. Anya froze, her rag dripping suds onto the pavement. Her heart lurched as a sleek, obsidian-black sports car hurtled toward her, its headlights blinding. Time slowed. She saw the driver's silhouette, hands wrestling the wheel, before the car swerved violently, smashing into a lamppost with a deafening crunch. Metal crumpled, glass shattered, and the world held its breath. Anya stumbled back, her bucket clattering to the ground. The crowd gasped, phones already out, capturing the wreckage. The car's door creaked open, and a man emerged, blood trickling from a cut above his brow. He was tall, broad-shouldered, his tailored suit somehow pristine despite the chaos. Leo Maxwell, the billionaire whose name adorned skyscrapers and headlines, stood dazed but alive. His piercing green eyes locked onto Anya's, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just them, her, trembling with shock, him, radiating an intensity that felt like a storm about to break. "Are you okay?" His voice was low, urgent, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. He stepped toward her, ignoring the wreckage behind him. Anya blinked, her breath hitching. I'm fine. You almost hit me." His jaw tightened, and he glanced at the mangled car, then back at her. "I'm sorry. I didn't see." He stopped, as if catching himself. "You're not hurt." She shook her head, her hands trembling as she clutched her rag like a lifeline. "No, just shaken." Leo's gaze softened, but there was something else in it. Guilt, maybe, or something deeper. "Stay here," he said, his tone commanding yet gentle. "I'm getting you checked out." Before she could protest, sirens wailed in the distance. The crowd pressed closer, whispers of Leo Maxwell rippling through them. Anya's knees buckled, but Leo was there, his hand steadying her elbow. It was the first time anyone had touched her with such care in years, and it sent a shiver down her spine. "I don't need a hospital," she said, her voice small but firm. "I'm just a cleaner. I'll be fine." Leo's eyes narrowed, studying her like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. "You're not just anything," he said, almost to himself. "And I'm not taking chances." The paramedics arrived, but Leo waved them off, insisting he'd drive her to the hospital himself. The crowd buzzed, phones flashing, capturing the billionaire's unexpected concern for a stranger. Anya, caught in the whirlwind, could only nod as Leo guided her to a waiting black SUV, his hand never leaving her arm. As they drove away, the city lights blurred, and Anya felt the weight of a moment that would change her life forever. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and sterile promises. Anya sat on the edge of the bed, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her faded sweater. The doctor had cleared her, no injuries, just shock, but Leo insisted she stay overnight for observation. He stood by the window, his silhouette framed against the city skyline, his phone buzzing incessantly. He ignored it, his attention fixed on her. "You didn't have to stay," Anya said, breaking the silence. "I'm fine, really. You've got billionaire things to do, I'm sure." Leo turned, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Billionaire things," he echoed, his voice warm with amusement. "Like what?" "Counting my gold coins in a vault." Anya's cheeks flushed, but she met his gaze. "You know what I mean. People like you don't hang out in hospital rooms with people like me." His smirk faded, replaced by something unreadable. "People like me," he said slowly, "don't usually crash cars and nearly kill someone." "I owe you." "You don't owe me anything," she said, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "It was an accident." Leo crossed the room in 3 strides, sitting in the chair beside her bed. "It wasn't just an accident," he said, his voice low, almost confessional. "I was distracted. My fault. And you," he paused, searching her face. You didn't deserve to be caught in my mess." Anya frowned, sensing the weight behind his words. "What kind of mess?" He leaned back, his eyes distant. "The kind that comes with my life. You'll see soon enough." The door swung open, interrupting them. A nurse entered, her eyes widening at the sight of Leo Maxwell. "Mr. Maxwell, the press is outside. They're asking about the crash. And her." She glanced at Anya, who shrank under the scrutiny. Leo's expression hardened. "Tell them nothing," he said, his voice like steel. The nurse nodded and scurried out. Anya's heart raced. "The press. Why do they care about me?" Leo's gaze softened, but he didn't answer. Instead, he pulled a small leather-bound book from his jacket and handed it to her. "Something to pass the time," he said. "You like to read, don't you?" She stared at the book, a worn copy of The Little Prince. "How did you know?" He shrugged, a ghost of a smile returning. "You've got that look. Like someone who sees more than what's in front of them." Anya's fingers traced the cover, her throat tight. No one had ever noticed that about her before. As Leo stood to leave, promising to return, she couldn't shake the feeling that this man, this billionaire, was hiding something, and that she was already tangled in it. Days bled into weeks, and Leo became a fixture in Anya's life. Every afternoon, he appeared in her hospital room, always with a new gift, a rare poetry collection, a sketchpad, or a thermos of her favorite chamomile tea. The nurses whispered about it, their curiosity a low hum in the sterile halls. Anya, discharged but still attending follow-up appointments, found herself looking forward to his visits, even as she questioned why a man like Leo Maxwell cared about her at all. One rainy afternoon, Leo arrived with a small wooden box. He set it on the table beside her, his fingers brushing hers as he did. "Open it," he said, his voice soft but expectant. Anya lifted the lid, revealing a delicate silver bracelet, simple yet elegant, with a tiny star-shaped charm. "Leo, this is too much," she said, her voice catching. "I can't accept this." "You can," he said, his eyes locking onto hers. "And you will. It's not about money, it's about you." She frowned, clutching the bracelet. "Why are you doing this? The books, the visits, now this. What's in it for you?" Leo leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his gaze intense. "You think I'm playing a game?" "I think you're a billionaire who could have anyone, anywhere," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "So why me? Why a cleaner who scrubs windows for a living?" He exhaled, running a hand through his dark hair. "Because you're real, Anya. You don't look at me like I'm a prize or a headline. You just see me." He paused, his voice dropping. "And because I can't stop thinking about that moment, when I almost lost you before I even knew you." Anya's breath hitched. His words were raw, unguarded, and they stirred something in her she wasn't ready to name. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "Then let me," he said, his voice almost a plea. "Tell me something real. Something no one else knows." She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "I used to dream of being an artist. Not famous, just free to create. To make something beautiful out of nothing." Leo's eyes lit up. "Then why aren't you?" "Life," she said simply. "Bills. Reality." He leaned closer, his voice a conspiratorial whisper. "Reality's overrated. You should draw again. Start with me." She laughed, the sound lightening the room. "You? As my muse?" "Why not?" he teased, spreading his arms. "I'm a masterpiece, aren't I?" Anya rolled her eyes, but her smile lingered. For the first time, she felt a spark of something beyond gratitude, a connection, fragile but undeniable, growing between them. The hospital room was dim, lit only by the soft glow of a bedside lamp. Anya sat cross-legged on the bed, her sketchpad open, charcoal smudging her fingers as she drew. Leo watched from a chair, his tie loosened, his usual polished demeanor softened by the late hour. He'd brought her the sketchpad days ago, and now, seeing her lost in her art, he seemed mesmerized. "What are you drawing?" he asked, his voice quiet, as if afraid to break her focus. Anya glanced up, her cheeks flushing. "Nothing special. Just the city, I guess. The way it feels at night." He stood, moving to her side, and peered at the sketch, a skyline jagged with dreams and shadows. "This is incredible," he said, his voice laced with awe. "You're incredible." She shook her head, closing the pad. "It's just a sketch. Nothing compared to your world." "My world." Leo's voice was sharp, almost bitter. He sat on the edge of the bed, closer than ever. "My world is a cage, Anya. Golden, sure, but still a cage. Everyone wants something. My money, my name, my power. No one sees me." Anya met his gaze, her heart pounding. "I see you," she said softly. "But I don't know you." "Not really." He leaned closer, his eyes searching hers. "Then ask me something. Anything." She hesitated, then took a breath. "What's the one thing you're most afraid of?" Leo's expression flickered, a crack in his armor. "Being alone," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not in a room, but in my soul. I've got everything. Money, influence, but it's empty. Until—" he stopped, his eyes locked on hers. "Until what?" she pressed, her voice trembling. "Until you," he said, the words raw and unguarded. "You make me feel alive. Like I'm more than my name." Anya's heart raced, her mind screaming to pull back, but her body leaned closer. "Leo, I'm just—" "Don't," he interrupted, his hand brushing her cheek. "Don't say you're just anything. You're everything." The air between them crackled, heavy with unspoken longing. Anya's breath caught, her eyes searching his for any sign of pretense, but all she saw was truth. For the first time, she let herself believe he meant it. The hospital was quiet, the hum of machines a soft backdrop. Anya, now cleared to leave, was packing her few belongings when Leo arrived, his presence filling the room like a storm. He carried a single white rose, its petals soft against his calloused fingers. "Thought you might like this," he said, handing it to her with a shy smile. "Matches your strength, delicate but unbreakable." Anya took the rose, her fingers brushing his. A jolt shot through her, electric and undeniable. She looked up, and their eyes locked, the air between them thick with something new, something dangerous. "Leo," she started, her voice unsteady, "why do you keep coming back?" He stepped closer, his voice low. "Because I can't stay away. Because every time I leave, I'm counting the minutes until I see you again." Her heart pounded, her resolve crumbling. This can't work. "You're you, and You're Anya," he said, cutting her off. He reached for her hand, his touch warm and steady. "And I'm just a man who's falling for you." She froze, her breath hitching. "Falling for me?" He nodded, his eyes fierce with conviction. "Every day, every moment. You're not just in my head, Anya. You're in my heart." The words hung between them, heavy and true. Anya's hand trembled in his, and when she tried to adjust her position, her pillow slipped. Leo reached to help, their hands brushing again, lingering this time. The spark ignited, and before either could think, he leaned in, his lips meeting hers in a soft, tentative kiss. It was fire and solace, a collision of worlds. Anya's hands found his chest, not pushing him away but pulling him closer. When they parted, breathless, their foreheads rested together, the world outside forgotten. "Leo," she whispered, "what are we doing?" He smiled, his thumb tracing her jaw. "Something real," he said. "Something worth fighting for." As they stood there, the rose forgotten on the bed, the sound of footsteps echoed in the hall. The door swung open, revealing a woman in a crimson dress, her beauty sharp and cold. Serafina Dubois, Leo's ex-fiancée, stood glaring, her voice dripping venom. "Well, isn't this cozy?" she said, her eyes raking over Anya. "Leo, darling, care to explain why you're slumming it with the help?" The room froze, the spark between Anya and Leo now a flame about to be tested. The hospital room, once a sanctuary for Anya and Leo's budding connection, felt like a battlefield. Serafina Dubois stood in the doorway, her crimson dress clinging to her like a second skin, her icy blue eyes slicing through Anya. Her presence was a storm, all sharp edges and calculated menace. Leo's hand, still warm from their kiss, tightened around Anya's, but his face was a mask of controlled fury. "Serafina," Leo said, his voice low and dangerous. "What are you doing here?" Serafina's lips curled into a smirk, her heels clicking as she sauntered into the room. "Oh, Leo, darling, I could ask you the same thing." Her gaze flicked to Anya, disdain dripping from every word. "Slumming it with the cleaning lady? How quaint." Anya's cheeks burned, but she straightened, refusing to shrink. "I'm not a cleaning lady," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "I'm Anya Petrova. And I don't know who you think you are." "I know exactly who I am," Serafina interrupted, her voice cutting like glass. "And I know what you are, a nobody trying to claw her way into Leo's world. Did you think a little hospital room flirtation would make you his equal?" "Enough," Leo snapped, stepping between them. His eyes blazed, but Serafina didn't flinch. "You don't get to come in here and talk to her like that." Serafina laughed, a cold, tinkling sound. "Oh, Leo, you're adorable when you're protective. But let's be real, this little fairy tale ends when the world sees her for what she is. A gold digger." She pulled out her phone, her fingers dancing across the screen. "The press will love this story. Billionaire Leo Maxwell falls for common cleaner." It's practically a headline already. Anya's stomach churned, but she held Serafina's gaze. "I don't want his money," she said. "I don't want any of this." "Then why are you still here?" Serafina shot back, her eyes narrowing. "Walk away, sweetheart. Save yourself the humiliation." Leo's voice was a growl. "Get out, Serafina. Now." She tilted her head, unfazed. "You'll regret this, Leo. Both of you." With a final venomous glance at Anya, she turned and strode out, leaving a chill in her wake. Anya exhaled, her hands trembling. "Who is she?" Leo's jaw clenched, his eyes dark with memories. "My ex-fiancée. She's complicated and dangerous when she feels threatened." "Threatened?" Anya's voice rose, incredulous. "By me?" Leo turned to her, his expression softening. "By what you mean to me?" He took her hands, his touch grounding her. "Anya, I meant what I said. It's real. And I won't let her ruin it." But as he pulled her close, Anya couldn't shake the feeling that Serafina's exit was only the beginning of a war she wasn't prepared for. The next morning, Anya stepped out of her modest apartment to a blinding onslaught of camera flashes. Reporters swarmed, microphones thrusting toward her like weapons. "Anya, are you dating Leo Maxwell? Is it true you're after his fortune? What's your real story?" She froze, her heart pounding as she clutched her worn coat. The headlines had erupted overnight, each one uglier than the last. Billionaire's new toy, the cleaner scheme, Leo Maxwell's shocking downfall. Grainy photos of her scrubbing windows, her face tired and unmade, were plastered across tabloids, paired with fabricated stories of a sordid past. One claimed she'd conned her way into Leo's life, another hinted at a criminal record that didn't exist. Anya pushed through the crowd, her breath shallow. "I don't know what you're talking about," she muttered, her voice lost in the chaos. She ducked into a coffee shop, her hands shaking as she pulled out her phone. Texts from coworkers, neighbors, even distant relatives flooded her screen, all asking the same question. "What's going on with you and Leo Maxwell?" The bell above the door jingled, and Leo strode in, his face stormy. The reporters outside pressed against the glass, but he ignored them, his focus solely on Anya. "I'm so sorry," he said, sliding into the booth across from her. "I should have seen this coming." Anya's eyes burned with unshed tears. "They're saying I'm a liar. A thief. I'm just me, Leo. I didn't ask for this." He reached for her hand, his grip firm. "I know. This is Serafina's doing. She's got connections in the media, and she's using them to hurt you. To hurt us." Anya pulled her hand back, her voice cracking. "Why? Why does she care so much?" Leo's eyes darkened. "Because she can't stand losing. Not to me, and definitely not to you." He leaned closer, his voice urgent. "Anya, I need you to trust me. I'll fix this." "How?" she asked, her voice small. "They're tearing my life apart." Leo's jaw tightened, a spark of determination in his eyes. "By fighting back." I've got resources, Anya. Let me use them. She hesitated, her heart torn between fear and the warmth of his promise. Okay, she whispered. But I'm scared, Leo. He reached across the table, his thumb brushing her cheek. You don't have to be. I'm with you. Always. As they left the coffee shop, hand in hand, the cameras flashed like a storm. Anya felt exposed, vulnerable, but Leo's presence was a shield, promising a fight she wasn't sure she could win. Anya's phone buzzed as she sat in her tiny apartment, the walls closing in under the weight of the media frenzy. The screen lit up with an unknown number, and her stomach dropped as she read the message. Remember me, Anya? You owe me. Meet me at the old diner on 12th Street, or the press gets your dirty little secrets. Mark. Her ex-boyfriend, a ghost from a past she'd buried. His charm had once drawn her in, but his manipulative streak had left scars. She hadn't seen him in years, yet here he was, slithering back into her life. Her hands shook as she typed a reply. What do you want? His response was instant. $50,000. Or I tell the world you're not as innocent as you seem. Anya's breath caught. She had no money, no secrets worth that price, but Mark's threat felt like a noose tightening around her. She called Leo, her voice trembling as she explained. Within an hour, he was at her door, his face a mix of concern and barely contained rage. Tell me everything, he said, sitting beside her on her worn couch. Who is this guy? Anya swallowed, her voice low. Mark was someone I trusted once. He was charming, but he used me. Lied to me. When I left, he swore he'd make me pay. She showed him the texts, her hands shaking. He's lying, Leo. I haven't done anything wrong, but he'll make it sound like I have. Leo's eyes blazed, his voice a low growl. He's not getting a dime. And he's not touching you. Anya looked up, her eyes pleading. What if he ruins me? The press already thinks I'm a fraud. Leo cupped her face, his touch gentle but fierce. They can think what they want. I know who you are, Anya. And I'm not letting him, or anyone, hurt you. He pulled out his phone, dialing his head of security. Find Mark. I want everything on him, where he's been, what he's done. And get me a meeting with my legal team. He hung up, turning back to Anya. We're going to bury him. Anya's heart raced, torn between fear and gratitude. Why are you doing this, Leo? You could walk away. This isn't your fight. He leaned closer, his voice soft but unyielding. It's our fight. You're not alone anymore. As they sat there, the weight of his words anchoring her, Anya felt a flicker of hope, but also dread, knowing Mark's cruelty wouldn't be easily stopped. The city buzzed with anticipation as Leo Maxwell called a press conference outside his towering corporate headquarters. The glass building gleamed under the midday sun, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside Leo. Anya stood backstage, her hands clasped tightly, watching as reporters jostled for position, their cameras trained on the podium. Leo stepped up, his suit impeccable, his expression thunderous. The crowd hushed as he began, his voice resonating with authority. For weeks, you've printed lies about Anya Petrova, he said, his eyes scanning the sea of faces. You've called her a gold digger, a fraud, a nobody. You're wrong. She's the most honest, resilient person I've ever met, and I won't stand by while you tear her apart. The reporters murmured, but Leo pressed on, his voice rising. This campaign against her was orchestrated. False stories, doctored photos, all fed to you by someone with a vendetta. I'm putting an end to it today. Anya's heart pounded as Leo gestured to his team, who distributed folders to the press. Inside were emails, texts, and financial records linking Serafina to the smear campaign. The crowd erupted, questions flying, but Leo raised a hand, silencing them. I'm not here to play games, he said. I'm here to protect what matters. Anya Petrova is under my protection, and anyone who comes for her will answer to me. He stepped back, his gaze finding Anya's. She nodded, her eyes brimming with gratitude and something deeper, love, unspoken but undeniable. As the press conference ended, reporters scrambled to rewrite their stories, but Anya knew the battle wasn't over. Serafina wouldn't go quietly, and Mark was still out there, a shadow waiting to strike. Leo's legal team worked around the clock, their office a war room of laptops and coffee cups. Anya sat in a corner, feeling out of place among the suits, but Leo insisted she be there. "You deserve to see this through," he told her, his hand brushing hers. The lead investigator, a sharp-eyed woman named Clara, laid out the evidence on a conference table. "We've traced the fake stories," she said, pointing to a digital timeline. Serafina paid off a tabloid editor to plant the initial articles. But there's more. She's been working with someone else. Someone with a personal connection to Anya. Anya's stomach dropped. "Mark," she whispered. Clara nodded. "Mark Dawson. He's been feeding Serafina fabricated details about your past. Debts, supposed affairs, even a fake arrest record. They've been coordinating to frame you for fraud." Leo's fists clenched, his voice icy. "How do we stop them?" "We've got enough for a lawsuit," Clara said. "Defamation, extortion, conspiracy. We can take them both down." Anya's voice trembled. "But what if they keep coming? Mark, he doesn't stop." Leo turned to her, his eyes fierce. "He will when I'm done with him." He looked at Clara. "File the charges. I want them in court yesterday." As the team mobilized, Leo pulled Anya aside, his voice softening. "You're stronger than this, Anya. Stronger than them. We're going to end this together." She nodded, her heart swelling with trust. "Together," she echoed. That night, as they left the office, a breaking news alert flashed across Anya's phone. Serafina Dubois, an accomplice named in Maxwell lawsuit. The tide was turning, but Anya couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation, a sea of reporters and onlookers packed into the oak-paneled chamber. Anya sat in the front row, her hands clasped tightly, her heart pounding like a drum. Leo stood beside her, his presence a steady anchor, his tailored suit unable to hide the tension in his shoulders. Across the room, Serafina Dubois sat with her legal team, her flawless composure cracking under the weight of the evidence against her. Mark, shackled and disheveled, slumped beside her, his eyes darting nervously. The judge's gavel fell, silencing the crowd. Clara, Leo's lead investigator, took the stand, her voice clear and commanding. "We have irrefutable evidence," she said, holding up a stack of documents. Emails, bank transfers, and recorded conversations between Ms. Dubois and Mr. Dawson, orchestrating a campaign to defame Anya Petrova. Anya's breath caught as Clara projected a damning email onto the screen. Serafina instructing Mark to fabricate a criminal record for Anya, complete with a $10,000 payment. The courtroom gasped, and Serafina's face paled, her lips tightening into a thin line. Leo leaned close, his voice a whisper. "They're done, Anya. This ends today." The prosecution called Anya next. Her knees trembled as she took the stand, but she met the judge's gaze with quiet resolve. "Ms. Petrova," the attorney began, "can you confirm you had no prior relationship with Mr. Maxwell before the car accident?" "Yes," Anya said, her voice steady. "I was just cleaning a window when his car crashed. I didn't know him. I didn't want his money. I just wanted to be okay." The attorney nodded, turning to the jury. "And yet, Ms. Dubois and Mr. Dawson painted her as a schemer." "Why?" "To protect their own interests and destroy an innocent woman." Serafina's lawyer objected, but the judge overruled, allowing Clara to present a recorded call. Mark's voice crackled through the speakers. "She's nobody, Serafina. We can bury her. Just keep the cash coming." Serafina's reply was cold. "Make it convincing, Mark. I want her ruined." The jury's faces hardened, and Anya felt a surge of vindication. When the verdict came, guilty on charges of defamation, extortion, and conspiracy, the courtroom erupted. Serafina's head bowed, her empire of lies crumbling, while Mark was led away in handcuffs. Outside, reporters swarmed, but now their headlines sang a new tune. Anya Petrova cleared, Billionaire's love vindicated. As they left the courthouse, Leo pulled Anya into his arms, his voice thick with relief. "It's over," he said. "You're free." Anya smiled, tears in her eyes. "Because of you." "No," he said, his hand cupping her face. "Because you're stronger than they'll ever know." But as they walked away, hand in hand, Anya couldn't shake the feeling that freedom came with a price, one that might still be waiting. The city sparkled below, a tapestry of lights stretching to the horizon. Leo's private rooftop garden, perched atop his penthouse, was a haven of lush greenery and starlight. Anya stood at the edge, her simple dress swaying in the breeze, her heart still reeling from the courtroom victory. Leo had insisted on bringing her here, promising a night to forget the chaos. He approached, a champagne flute in each hand, his eyes soft but intense. "To new beginnings," he said, clinking his glass against hers. Anya sipped, the bubbles tickling her throat. "To surviving," she added, her smile tentative. "I still can't believe it's over." Leo set his glass down, his gaze locking onto hers. "It's not over, Anya. It's just beginning." He took her hand, leading her to a bench beneath a canopy of fairy lights. "I've been thinking about us. About what comes next." Her heart skipped. "Next." He nodded, his voice low, almost reverent. "I've spent my life building an empire, but it's empty without you. You make me want to be better. To be real." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Anya's breath caught as he opened it, revealing a ring, a single diamond, radiant but understated, like a star caught in silver. "Anya Petrova," he said, dropping to one knee, "you're my home, my heart. Marry me. Not because of my name or my wealth, but because I love you. More than anything." Tears spilled down her cheeks as she nodded, words failing her. "Yes," she whispered finally, her voice breaking. "Yes, Leo." He slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands trembling slightly, then pulled her into a kiss that felt like a promise etched in gold. The city faded, the world narrowing to just them, their love a beacon against the darkness. As they parted, Anya laughed through her tears. "You sure you want a cleaner for a wife?" Leo grinned, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I want you. The woman who sees me. The woman I'll fight for, always." They sat together, wrapped in each other, the stars above mirroring the hope in their hearts. But even in this perfect moment, Anya felt a flicker of unease, a shadow of what might still lurk beyond their light. The wedding was nothing like the society pages expected. No grand cathedral, no guest list of the elite. Instead, Leo and Anya chose a small vineyard on the city's outskirts, its rolling hills bathed in golden sunlight. The guest list was intimate: Anya's mother, a few close friends, and Leo's sister, who'd warmed to Anya despite their family's initial disapproval. The air smelled of lavender and possibility. Anya walked down a petal-strewn aisle in a simple white dress, her hair loose, a crown of wildflowers woven into it. Leo waited at the altar, his suit tailored but unpretentious, his eyes shining with love. As she reached him, he took her hands, his voice low. "You look like a dream I never dared to have." She smiled, squeezing his hands. "And you look like mine." The ceremony was brief, heartfelt, their vows a quiet rebellion against the world's expectations. "I promise to see you always," Anya said, her voice steady. "Not your name, not your wealth, but you." Leo's voice was thick with emotion. "And I promise to protect you, to love you, through every storm. You're my everything, Anya." As they kissed, the small crowd cheered, but whispers lingered among Leo's extended family, seated stiffly in the back. "A cleaner," one aunt muttered. "He could have had anyone." Leo's sister, Elena, overheard and turned, her voice sharp. "He chose love. Maybe you should try it sometime." The reception was a blur of laughter, music, and dancing under string lights. Anya and Leo swayed to a slow song, her head against his chest. "They'll come around," he murmured, sensing her worry about his family. "And if they don't?" she asked, looking up. "Then we'll build our own family," he said, his eyes fierce with certainty. "One that matters." As the night ended, Anya felt a weight lift, but a new one settled, a sense that their love, though strong, would face more tests. Months later, Anya stood in their penthouse bathroom, staring at the 2 pink lines on the pregnancy test. Her hands shook, a mix of joy and fear flooding her. She'd always wanted a child, but the timing, after the chaos of the trial, the wedding, the lingering whispers of scandal, felt like a leap into the unknown. She found Leo in his study, his head bent over papers. "Leo," she said, her voice trembling. He looked up, instantly alert. "What's wrong?" he asked, crossing the room in 2 strides. She held up the test, her smile tentative. "Nothing's wrong. We're having a baby." Leo's face lit up, a grin spreading as he pulled her into his arms. "A baby," he whispered, his voice thick. "Our baby." She nodded, tears spilling. "Are you ready for this?" He laughed, spinning her gently. "With you. I'm ready for anything." He kissed her forehead, then her lips, his hands resting on her still flat stomach. "This is our future, Anya. Our family." They spent the evening dreaming. Names, nurseries, the kind of parents they'd be. Leo's excitement was infectious, but Anya's joy was tempered by a nagging fear. The world had already tried to tear them apart. What would it do to their child? They kept the news private, sharing it only with their closest circle. Elena, now a fierce ally, squealed with delight, promising to be the cool aunt. Anya's mother wept, hugging her tightly. But as the weeks passed, Anya couldn't shake the sense that their happiness was fragile, a target for unseen enemies. The first sign came on a rainy Tuesday. A package arrived at the penthouse, unmarked, containing a single photo of Anya and Leo at the vineyard wedding, their faces circled in red marker. No note, no return address. Anya's stomach churned as she showed it to Leo, who immediately called his security team. "It's probably nothing," he said, but his voice was tight. "A prank." But it wasn't. Days later, Anya's phone buzzed with an unknown number, a distorted voice hissing, "You don't belong with him." Then came the letters, slipped under their door, cryptic threats like, "You can't hide forever." Anya felt eyes on her everywhere, a shadow trailing her steps. Leo's security doubled, their penthouse a fortress. One night, as they sat in the living room, Anya curled against him, her voice small. "Who's doing this, Leo?" "Serafina's in jail." "Mark, too." He stroked her hair, his jaw clenched. "I don't know, but I'll find out. No one's touching you or our baby." The next morning, a chilling discovery. Their car's tires were slashed, a note tucked under the wiper, "You stole his life. I'll take yours." Anya's heart raced, her hand instinctively protecting her stomach. Leo's security chief, Marcus, called with a lead. "We've got footage," he said, showing them grainy video of a hooded figure outside their building. "We're running facial recognition, but it's someone with a grudge. Someone who knows you." Anya's voice trembled. "What do they want?" Leo pulled her close, his eyes blazing. "They want to scare us. But they don't know who they're dealing with." He kissed her forehead, his voice fierce. "I'll protect you, Anya. You and our child. Always." As they braced for the next move, the shadow loomed larger, a threat that could unravel their fragile happiness. The hospital room was bathed in soft morning light, the air thick with anticipation. Anya lay in the bed, her face flushed with effort and joy, her hands gripping Leo's tightly. After hours of labor, a cry pierced the room, a tiny fierce sound that brought tears to Anya's eyes. The nurse placed their newborn daughter, Ilara, in Anya's arms, her delicate features a perfect blend of her parents' strength and softness. Leo leaned over, his eyes glistening as he kissed Anya's forehead. "She's perfect," he whispered, his voice thick with awe. "Just like her mother." Anya smiled, exhaustion giving way to love. "And her father," she said, stroking Ilara's tiny hand. "Look at her, Leo. She's ours." They sat in that sacred moment, the world outside forgotten, until Marcus, Leo's security chief, knocked softly. His face was grim, a stark contrast to the joy in the room. "We found him," he said, his voice low. "The stalker." Leo's body tensed, his arm instinctively wrapping around Anya and Ilara. "Who is it?" he demanded. Marcus handed him a tablet, displaying a photo of a man in his 40s, his face gaunt and eyes hollow. "James Carver," Marcus said. "Former employee of Maxwell Industries. Fired 2 years ago for embezzlement. He's been obsessed with you, Leo, blames you for his downfall. The packages, the calls, the slashed tires, it's all him." Anya's heart raced, her grip on Ilara tightening. "What does he want?" "Revenge," Marcus said. "He's unstable, but we've got him in custody. He confessed to everything." Leo's jaw clenched, his voice a growl. "Keep him locked up. I want him nowhere near my family." Marcus nodded. "Already done." We're tightening security around the hospital and the penthouse. You're safe now. As Marcus left, Anya looked at Leo, her voice trembling. It's really over. He kissed her, then Ilara's tiny forehead. It's over. I promise. But even as he spoke, Anya sensed a lingering shadow, a reminder that their love, though fierce, would always be tested. That night, as Ilara slept in her crib, Anya and Leo sat together, their hands entwined. She's our future, Anya said softly. No matter what comes, we'll protect her. Leo nodded, his eyes fierce. Always. Weeks later, the penthouse was a haven of new rhythms, Ilara's soft coos, late-night feedings, and stolen moments of love between Anya and Leo. But peace was fleeting. Marcus called them to his office, his face etched with urgency. We've uncovered something, he said, spreading documents across his desk. The car crash that started all this, it wasn't an accident. Anya's stomach dropped, her hand finding Leo's. What do you mean? She asked. Marcus pointed to a report. We traced the car's telemetry. The brakes were tampered with, and the system was hacked to accelerate uncontrollably. It was sabotage, targeted at Leo. Leo's face darkened, his voice low. Who? Vortex Enterprises, Marcus said. Your biggest rival. Their CEO, Richard Hale, has been gunning for your contracts. We found payments to a hacker who's now in custody. He confirmed Hale ordered the hit to destabilize you. Anya's mind reeled, the memory of that screeching car flashing back. So, our meeting wasn't chance, she whispered. Leo took her hand, his eyes intense. It was fate, Anya. They tried to break me, but they brought me to you. He turned to Marcus. What's the plan? We've got enough to go public, Marcus said. Expose Hale, press charges. It'll ruin him. Do it, Leo said, his voice like steel. I want the world to know. The next day, Leo held a press conference, his voice commanding as he revealed Vortex's plot. The media erupted, headlines shifting from Anya's scandal to Hale's downfall. Shares of Vortex plummeted, and Hale faced imminent arrest. Anya watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride but also unease. This changes everything, she said to Leo later, Ilara asleep in her arms. No, he said, pulling her close. It changes nothing. You, me, Ilara, that's what matters. Anya nodded, but the revelation lingered, a reminder that their love was born in chaos, a spark forged by a plot meant to destroy. Anya stood on a stage in a packed auditorium, her hands trembling as she gripped the podium. Months after Ilara's birth, she'd been invited to speak at a charity gala for working-class women, her story now a beacon of resilience. Leo sat in the front row, Ilara in his lap, his eyes shining with pride. I was a cleaner, Anya began, her voice steadying as she spoke. I scrubbed floors, washed windows, and dreamed of something more. But the world told me I was nothing. Until someone saw me. She glanced at Leo, her heart swelling. I'm here to tell you, you are enough. Your work, your heart, your dreams, they matter. The crowd erupted in applause, many in tears. Anya's speech went viral, clips shared across platforms, her words resonating with millions. She became a reluctant icon, her story of rising from cleaner to advocate inspiring women worldwide. Invitations poured in, talk shows, conferences, charities, all wanting her voice. Backstage, Leo pulled her into his arms, Ilara giggling between them. You were incredible, he said, kissing her. You're changing the world. Anya laughed, her eyes sparkling. I just wanted to tell the truth. That's why they love you, he said, his voice warm. Why I love you. But as her platform grew, so did the pressure. Hate mail arrived alongside the praise, some accusing her of exploiting her story. One letter, slipped under their door, chilled her. You don't deserve this. Leo tightened security, but Anya refused to back down. I'm doing this for Ilara, she told him. For every woman who feels invisible. Leo nodded, his eyes fierce. Then I'm with you, every step. Her advocacy grew, launching a foundation to support working-class women with scholarships and job training. Anya's voice became a force, but the shadow of resentment lingered, threatening to darken her light. Leo's grandfather, Edward Maxwell, lay frail in his mansion, his once commanding presence softened by age. Anya and Leo visited with Alara, the old man's eyes lighting up at the sight of his great-granddaughter. Over tea, Edward's voice rasped, "You've changed, Leo. For the better." Leo glanced at Anya, his hand on hers. "She changed me," he said. "Showed me what matters." Edward nodded, his gaze sharp despite his frailty. "I've watched you, son. You chose love over pride, humility over power. That's rare." He paused, coughing. "I'm amending my will. The bulk of my fortune goes to you, not because of your name, but because of your heart." Anya's eyes widened. "Mr. Maxwell, that's—" "Call me Edward," he interrupted, a faint smile on his lips. "Your family now, Anya. You've given my grandson something I never could, purpose." Later, as they drove home, Anya's voice was quiet. "That fortune, it's massive. What will we do with it?" Leo's eyes met hers, steady and sure. "We'll use it for good. For Alara, for your foundation, for people who need it. We'll teach her that wealth isn't power, it's responsibility." Anya nodded, tears in her eyes. "I want her to grow up knowing her worth isn't in money, but in who she is." Leo kissed her hand, his voice soft. "She will. Because she has you." That night, they sat with Alara, planning a future rooted in love and humility. But Anya couldn't shake the feeling that their growing legacy would attract new enemies, drawn to the light of their success. Years later, the Maxwell Petrova family was a modern legend. Anya's foundation had grown into a global network, empowering thousands with education and opportunities. Leo, once the reclusive billionaire, now stood beside her at galas and rallies, his wealth fueling change rather than isolation. Alara, now a bright-eyed 5-year-old, ran through their home, her laughter a constant reminder of their purpose. They stood on their penthouse balcony, the city glittering below. Anya leaned against Leo, her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever think about that crash?" she asked. "How it brought us here?" "Every day," he said, his arm around her. "It was chaos, but it gave me you. Alara. This life." She smiled, her eyes tracing the skyline. "We've built something real, haven't we?" He kissed her temple, his voice warm. "A kingdom, Anya. Not of money, but of love." Their story had gone viral, a tale of resilience and devotion shared across platforms, inspiring millions. Clips of Anya's speeches, Leo's press conferences, and Alara's infectious giggle flooded YouTube, each view a testament to their journey. But their greatest legacy was quieter. The women lifted by Anya's foundation, the communities transformed by their wealth, the love that held them together through every storm. As Alara ran to them, her tiny arms wrapping around Anya's legs, Leo lifted her, their laughter mingling with the city's hum. "Ready for our next adventure?" he asked, his eyes sparkling. Anya nodded, her heart full. "With you. Always." The end.